All right, guys. So it looks like we're live. Just give me a quick sound check, so I don't want to have any more mistakes like last time. Everybody here, okay? Sound good? Too loud? All right. All right. So how about the VIX today? Nice move, huh? All right. So cycle looks like it's triggered. I said that last week the top might already be in, so that's a nice little flush here. I want to say this first and foremost. I had somebody asked me a little while ago on Twitter about the VIX or VXX. So if you're in the money, I would strongly invite you to take, say, half of your position off the table right now, and then move your stop to break even wherever your break even is, or move it to in the money, maybe a couple points in the money. Let's say you're 10% in the money now, sell half, and then maybe move your stop to 4 or 5% in the money, or maybe 2% or whatever if you want to be more aggressive. But just because the VIX is a spike index, so it can just as easily come in. If the spiders, even if this is a sell-off, this is a true sell-off and a true top, the spiders could consolidate for a few days before moving a leg lower, and in that time the VIX can come back in a lot before spiking again. So just to protect yourself and just to, I don't want anybody to get hurt on this. So the worst thing you can do is let a winner like that go negative. So I would advise taking profits here, at least some form of trimming, in that regard. So just wanted to get that out of the way first. And then we're going to start here. The reason why I just wanted to start at 315 is so we can watch the market close, because this is very important here to whether or not this is a real sell-off. Again, if the shorts don't cover in the next 45 minutes, we could limit down again tomorrow. But if they somehow get us to rally, then we could see some more upside. But I don't think, based on really all the indicators and everything that I've looked at, I think this one's actually for real. Back in May when we had the little sell-off, and in March when we had these sell-offs, there was indicators saying that the market wasn't flushing yet. One of those indicators back in March was that JP Morgan was still positive. You had XLF still positive. Now you have a head and shoulders triggered on JP Morgan daily. Names like XLE, energy was holding up really well in March. This thing is broken down, head and shoulders back here, broken down. Now you're through support. I had a target of 48. It got right through that. Now you're into a pivot here. You might get as low as this 200 moving average in this gap fill, but again, nice move there on XLE. Another indicator, this is the big one. Look at the dollar, triggered a head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern on the dollar index today, and they did so in the last couple of minutes here. If you look, so the dollar closes at 3 p.m. Look at what they did right in the last couple of minutes. They popped it up. So that triggered. We'll see if that continues. And the only real thing here that suggests that there may be some sort of a fake out or some sort of shallowness of the correction is if you look at the semiconductors. They're down 0.5%, but this is actually they're holding up really well. They're holding at 100 moving average. Intraday, you would barely think that the market is down based on what the semis are doing. And the semis are really important, but everything else is saying this is a real sell-off. We talked about this weekly IWM head and shoulders that triggered on Friday. Now we're confirming that. We're getting downside here. IWM should go to the 200 moving average in the near term. I think you eventually get down to this gap fill at 196 right here. As for downside targets on the spiders, again, we're looking at about 400. So I've been talking about this for months now. We never back tested this breakout gap at 400 on the SPY. That's a round number. It's an even number. It's a psychological level. Never got back tested. I think we got to go there and hit it, but there will be some stops along the way. 415, this pivot right here, and you have this 100 moving average sloping up that will act as support in the near term if we head lower. Now VIX turning back up a little bit here. Every time that they've tried to pop this market up, it's been sold. So we're seeing a changing character. It's fade the rip and not buy the dip anymore. And that said, gold actually holding up really well. I've been talking about gold as possibly being a fear trade over the last few months. It got flushed out, but it's only down 3.8%, so actually holding up pretty well. And you look at silver, silver is getting hit pretty hard. So gold is holding up as a safety play, and silver's industrial aspect is keeping it lower right now, essentially suggesting that there's like deflationary pressures and whatnot, especially with the lower yield on the 10-year. So we're going to watch this market. We're going to see what happens. If this thing flushes in the close, we might limit down again tomorrow. Yeah, so mRNA is really popping because of the Delta variant. And that's really, I mean, Fauci went on TV earlier and kind of pumped that, saying that it's the new dominant variant, the new dominant strain. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. This could be a blow off top, but you have to see some type of sell indicator on Moderna. It is really toppy, but until there's a reversal, it's going to be hard to say. No, you're right. One day doesn't make a trend, but what does make a trend, or at least signals the start of a trend, is when you break a trend. So Spider's closing below this trend line on Friday, which I believe is a major trend line, and now confirming that today. So yeah, you're right. We do need to see follow through, but look at the volume here. We'll probably end at 150 million by the end of the day. So that's telling you the institutional money is dumping here. This isn't retail dumping. Cloudflare, a little bit disappointing. So something happened with Cloudflare here. Notice the pop intraday. There hasn't been any news yet, but it tells me that somebody knows something, because this thing's held up really well, and it was positive pretty much with the exception of the first hour. So there may be news coming out on this stock, but it's fading a little bit here. So a little bit disappointing on that one, as we were in the money nicely, but that one getting hit to the upside now. But NASDAQ stronger, again, with the lower yields. That's going to be the case, but ultimately NASDAQ's still down 1.4% now, but the semi's still leading. So that's the only real area of pocket of strength that I see that could suggest that we, would have some more upside. But I really think that, I mean, look at this market. The last time we touched the 200 moving average was June of last year. So it's been over a year now since we touched the 200 moving average. It's been since November since we hit the 100 moving average. So, I mean, a solid correction here is probably likely, and it's getting increasingly likely as the market fails to rally into the close. Normally by now, a week or two ago, this rally right here would have been like this, and we would have gone V-shaped. By the end of the week, we would have hit an all-time high. The shorts would have covered. It would have been the same old, same old. The fact that we broke down through this support level, you back tested it, and now it's selling. It's telling me the character of the market has changed, and it looks like the cycle's playing out. Yeah, MRA, it's crazy. Yep, the mega caps are holding up. Again, the lower yield, and also, the mega caps are safer plays than some of these other names, So, and NVIDIA was a little bit oversold. You had three bar sell right into this little consolidation here. So no surprise NVIDIA is getting a bit of a bid here. Microsoft's still holding trend. Last I checked anyway. And again, excuse me, with the there's going to be a little bit of lag here with the volume coming into the close. So we might have a little bit of lag. Yeah, Microsoft bouncing off the 20. Still holding trend though. Google, same thing. Yeah, the dark pools were selling, exactly. The dark pools were selling. And that's why we weren't seeing a lot of sell volume. Yes, Google holding trend. That's why we weren't seeing a lot of sell volume in the spiders over the last couple of weeks. I mean, you saw a little bit of an uptick, but that's how a lot of these major institutions were getting out, as they were selling pretty quietly. You see a little bit of an uptick here in the volume. And notice, I've been talking about this for months. This it takes these institutions a long time. When you've been holding stocks for years, you've got billions of dollars in these stocks. You can't just sell it all in one day or 1 week. This distribution began a while ago. Began right here, and then a little bit here. Then you let the market go up, and then a little bit more selling. That's why I did the video the other day on distribution. It's because I think it's relevant to what's going on right now. So that's how you recognize it. You see the start of it right here, the volume. Then the volume dips as the market makes all-time highs again, and then a little bit more selling, and then it makes another all-time high. Volume dips, and then the sell volume increases, and now more sell volume. That's just how they do it. That's how it's always been done. Yeah, VXX ripping. I think it's got a chance to get to 50 near term. If you look at, so the VXX is going to lag the actual VIX a little bit, but I think it's got a chance to get back up to this area right here in May, which we tagged 50 just barely. And if you look at the actual VIX, we've taken out the local highs already, but the real level I'm watching is 28. And again, apologies for the lag here. There's just a lot of volume going on. Yeah, so we took out the local highs. If you get through 28, though, it could really, really turn into something. But we're not there yet, so all we can do is really speculate. It's strange. I expect, so the spiders are just kind of holding this trend here, this range. It's a little interesting. The VIX is continuing higher. I'd be surprised if we don't get a move one way or the other into the close with the VXX still pushing up. But yeah, again, if you guys didn't hear that, make sure if you're in the money on VXX, take some off the table, trim your position in some way, at least lock in some sort of gains, and then move your stop to break even or in the money. Just because this thing can, even if the markets don't rally tomorrow, the VIX could still be down a lot just by going just for the markets going sideways. I am not sure the decay on the VXX exactly. I know that it basically trades like a 3-time ETF though, essentially. Yeah, there's some nice. There was a bet too on the VIX in April, and it was when it was consolidating like this, and I said, "Hey, look, the VIX looks like it's starting to base," and somebody put in a bet at 25. I think they had a May call for VIX 25, and that obviously paid out tremendously. Um, Dow taking the biggest hit today, probably mainly because financials are down. JP over 3.6 now. Yeah, Dow down 2.5. And by the way, so this tail here is a fake print on the Dow. Dow's into the 100 moving average though, so it may have some support here. But this fake print, this is a fake print on the Dow, and the S&P also has one too on the spider. So that could just be a delayed block print or something that went through the exchange because the volume was so high, but that's not a real tail. The SP made the highs of the day within the first couple minutes that it was trading and pretty much went down straight ever since. So that's a fake print there. Yeah, I think we talked about that, didn't we? The July calls on the VIX there. Yeah, a delayed block print or something like that. Should see what Goldman's doing. Yeah, 3-2. Yeah. JP and Goldman's holding up pretty well though. I think UNH is the largest Dow component. Yeah, Pretty big hit here, but UNH holding up well. Again, it looks like this market's worried about this. I hate to say it, but it's worried about the Delta variant. But with some of these healthcare names, and like you got like Cloudflare higher, IGV's holding up really well. So some of these names that would do well in like a lockdown type of environment are actually holding up okay. We talked about the semis doing well, and then yields down, obviously. Yeah, IGV is holding up really well. But make no mistake, we're barely breaching the 50 moving average here on the S&P. If we have another, like basically the margin calls haven't even started yet, and there is a ton of debt and leverage in this system that needs to be washed out. So if we close below this 50 and we have another limit down tomorrow, it could get really ugly really quick. There's a ton of leverage that needs to be washed out of this market. Tilray. Let's take a look at Tilray because I like Tilray. I like trading this stock. So where you want to buy Tilray, if you want to nibble at it right here, I have no problem with it. But ultimately, your best level is going to be right here at gap fill. So 951. So if you want to inch in with a small position here and then maybe add if it gets down there, yeah, I got no problem. I'll probably do it myself as long as it gets down there quickly. I don't want to see it chop around and then mess around and then get down there. If it goes straight into that level, I'll probably step up and buy for sure. Yeah, they ran up. Yeah, they ran the Qs right up into earnings. Yeah, and the Nvidia running up into the stock split, which I think happens today or tomorrow morning. So, and I like that 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 am. Oh, so yeah, Q's getting below that 20 moving average. I did not notice that, but but I like that potential for a fake breakout on Amazon. I talked about that last week. Um, it just looks so toppy. It just looks like such a trappy setup. Again, this lag is unfortunate, but that's what you happen when there's over 100 million shares traded. Plus, it's Thinkorswim, so you know. Yeah, the volume's going to get even more heavy in the next 30 minutes. So, oh yeah, I haven't even looked at this one today. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a fake breakout. Um, if you close, which it's probably going to, barring a historic rally, if it closes below this green bar, it's over. Look, I pointed this out last week, Friday. Look what Facebook did. So JPM picked. They basically just raised intraday margin requirements for like a lot of funds. I don't know what the details of it, but that's basically what happened. So whatever their margins is raised to. But see this inside bar here on Facebook? That failed. And these types of patterns have a tendency to fail at all-time highs. But yeah, so that's probably headed lower. But again, going back to Amazon, you know, I talked about the monthly, and it's just it just didn't consolidate enough for me to. You had this little pullback here, but you're still so far away from the 20 moving average, and look at that coming right back in. You see Apple. Apple's down 3% now. I would not talk. I would not go long right now. The S&P. Yeah. So this is a failed breakout on Apple. Wow, that's worse than I thought. Apple's getting hit. It's gonna have support right here at the 20 though. Next stop is probably about 138, which is just a little bit lower. I can't look at the footsie on here. There's a ETF though that tracks it. I can't think of the name. Hold on a second. I can at least look at that for you if I can just look it up really quick. Give me 1 second, guys. BGK maybe. Hold on. Is this it? I wouldn't touch the S&P right here. This is it. Yes, this is the FTSE. Yeah, so I wouldn't even touch this until about 64. I'm not sure what that really translates to on the actual FTSE, but this is like your support right here. Again, and I wouldn't even touch it, and like I would consider it as a swing long, as a quick swing. But your real support is going to be at the 200 moving average. And gold's actually holding up really well. Actually, GLD getting a bid right now as we speak. You can see the GLD right here. So gold working as a bit of a fear trade right now. It looks like we might just hold pattern into the close here. Yeah, don't touch the S&P right now. There's just so much. The only way I would consider a long on the S&P is like via scalp, like a day trade. And I would like this would be your level here, maybe at the 100 moving average. But if margin calls start happening, this like just don't even try. Don't even. You don't need to step in front of this right now. Because if this is an actual correction, like the downside acceleration hasn't even started yet. So just wait for it. The best level is going to be at 400, but I think we might revisit this 200 MA though. I mean, you've got to figure that's what, like a 10% correction. That's not even. It's not even that crazy. 437. So 388. Yeah. The 200 moving average is 11% away from the all-time high. So, I mean, that's a totally normal correction. Yeah, so the FTSE, yeah, I would think that you're, yeah, I would think that you'd have support around the 64 here on this. This is just the ETF VGK. I don't know the exact levels of the FTSE, but there we go, finally. You probably get a bounce here. But yeah, you're going to have this 200 moving average, and then you got these pivots here. This area right here, about, yeah, 62.35. That coincides with the 200. But if you get through that, it's all the way down to this pivot right here. The VXX coming in a little bit here. We've got 20 minutes to go. It looks like the spiders might just hold this pattern here into the close. But we'll see. Apple 1.5 million, but March 26. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and Goldman and Stanley Druckenmiller said like a month or two ago that he was not. He wouldn't be surprised if he was completely uh, out of equities by the end of the year. Yeah, we'll see if they. Well, market unclosed to buy. We'll see. Normally, short like when we get a sell off like this, normally shorts cover by the end of the day, but normally it's they cover within the first hour, and we didn't get that. We got a little bit of covering, then we got to sell the rip. So we'll see what happens. But I've seen days where there was a huge imbalance, market on close to buy, and the market ended up dumping into the close. So yeah, I'm still bullish on gold long term. They're printing $120 billion, more than that really a month, and it's just a matter of time really. So long term, yeah, of course. It's really a no-brainer. And central banks are still net buyers. Interesting, the gold GLD is getting a little bit of pop here, so I'm really interested to see where this closes. Let's see. Some of these Chinese stocks have held up really well. Um, like Joy Inc., you guys know I still have this one. And the reason why, I'm not too worried about it because of how oversold it is going into, I said if the markets do roll over, there's not that much downside in it. It's actually holding this pivot. The same thing with IQ. The IQ is actually barely negative today. So I'm not really worried about these Chinese stocks. These are more a little bit longer term plays to me anyway. But holding this double bottom here, even as the market's down almost 2% on the day. So not a bad showing there. But some of these names that are really oversold are actually holding up well, and that's just typical. Alibaba here at, down 1.7, but holding up pretty well considering. See what Viacom's doing. But yeah, Viacom 39.67, not terrible. XIU. All right. If I had Trading View pulled up right now, I would just look at the actual index for you, but I don't have it right now. Next time I'll get it ready for you guys. I'll get Trading View pulled up on my other screen so that I can look at some of these foreign stocks for you guys. And again, I apologize with the lag here. It's just volume is ridiculous here. So I don't think XIU here. Give me 1 second. Find one. XIU? Really? Looks like Thinkorswim doesn't have that ticker. Hold on. Let's try this. Yeah. What do I gotta do one of these? XAU is actually gold. It's actually a gold ETF, I think. Or no, that's IAU. XAU. Gold, yeah, that's gold and silver index. Hold on, maybe I can see this. Damn. Yeah, I don't know if Thinkorswim had. Oh, there we go. There's something here. Global X S&P TSX Venture 30 Canada ETF. Gold popping in at the close again. So you know. Probably going to take it 10 years to pull up here. If I can't get it, maybe I'll do a. If it doesn't come up in a minute, I'll pull it up later on TradingView, and I'll tweet it out or something like that. But yeah, I don't. I could probably find it right now, but the volume right now is just making this kind of hard. I want to look it up, but I'll make a note to look that up though for you. So yeah, we're at 118 million so far in shares traded on the SPY. So we got a lot of volume. Spider's just kind of holding trend here. There's going to be some type of move into the close. Don't know how much we're going to make out of it, but there's a lot of the time the close, there's jockeying for position that goes on and just repositioning. So we don't want to make too much out of the last 10 minutes, but it will be interesting. Be interesting to see if the VIX rips into the close too. Yeah, very interested in this GLD here. It's still popping pretty nicely. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Well, we had a nice sell-off. Remember, a month ago, they drilled it into the close on the 18th of June, right before OPEX. They dumped it really hard, and then it ended up being nothing. But yeah, if they close, that's going to be interesting. So we got 50 moving average right now is at 423.06. So if they dump it below that, yeah, it's hard to say though, because they could just be putting fear on the tape. But that would open the door for confirmation tomorrow. So if we close below it today and we have a lower close tomorrow, that could be confirmation. Possibly setting up for a little bit of a pop here into the close. Notice how the NASDAQ actually had a little bit of weakness here. The NASDAQ's been strong all day, but the Qs actually had a little bit of a sell over the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes ago, and now it's starting to underperform just a little bit. The Dow getting a little bit of a bid, possibly breaking trend here. Maybe gold, gold might have been a little bit of a leading indicator, so maybe we do get some covering into the close today. That could be a little bit of an indicator there. But ultimately, a lot of the signals I'm seeing are saying this is an actual sell-off. But I want to see where they close it, especially the semis. If they close the semis positive, that would be very concerning. But every rally, every little micro rally they've had so far has been faded. So And that, let me tell you, as being somebody who's, a swing trader, and whenever I'll short, I'll buy, whatever, if I find value there. But the best feeling to me ever is when you're short and the market sells off, and then the buy the dippers come in and that gets faded. It's like the best feeling ever, because buy the dip almost always works, and when it doesn't, it's so vindicating. So a nice sell off overall today. Gotta love the action. Again, buy the dippers are going to come in, but again, this market's so fragile. We talked about air pockets being in this market, and if an air pocket comes in and margin calls happen, it doesn't matter what the fundamentals are. It's like we talked about in the last live stream. Gold was sold off in February 2020, not because people were stupid. It was because they literally had to sell something to cover their margin. But they didn't want to sell Amazon, but they had to anyway, because eventually the financialization aspect of things takes precedence over fundamentals. Yeah, I agree. We're looking at a deeper correction here, based on every indicator I have. So oil. By the way, did I not tell you guys last weekend? I told you to be careful with XLE. I told you to be careful with these energy plays. Told you, look what you came into. 50 moving average and this downsloping trend line, or upsloping trend line on the weekly. I told you. Crude, same deal. Crude's down almost 8%. That's a bloodbath. Certified bloodbath. I didn't even know it was down that much. But crude hit my first downside target today, about 66.60 or so. Again, we got a ton of volume coming in here, so this is just going to be... There we go. Yeah, so you went into this 200 moving average. You hit this, you tagged this pivot top. Tagged this pivot top pretty much perfectly, getting a nice reversal there. This daily chart's pretty ugly. But I'll show you my downside targets. Here we go. So oil's in this nice support here. Notice the previous breakout level coinciding with the 100 moving average. That should be defended short term, so you should get a nice bounce. But I think ultimately oil's probably getting down to this pivot here, maybe as low as 57, 58. But it's clearly in a higher trading range at this point, as I mentioned in the past. So it could have a steeper correction or deeper correction from here, but it should get a bounce at this level. But that's a brutal sell. Look at the volume there. And I said on Friday, look, it made a lower low, so it's vulnerable now to a correction. Look at that, 1 day. 1 day, that's all it took. So Spider's getting a little bit of a squeeze here into the close. If it gets up to 425 though, it should be sold though. I don't know if it gets that high. So shorts taking some profits into the close. VIX dipping. This is why I told you guys. So the VIX was up 20%. It's now up, or VXX is up 20%. It's up 14.5 now, and losing steam. So this is why you take profits here. This is why you take profits, because it can turn against you fast. Nothing wrong with trimming your position. You can still stay in the money. You still make money on it if it blasts higher tomorrow. But the smart trade, the smart move, what's going to make you money for decades is take the profits when it hands it right to you like that. Yeah, exactly. Yep, the oil bear candle. Yep. Yeah, the money the money printer. That is the that is the fundamentals. Yeah, I like Disca too because again, A, it's a buyout target. It's definitely a buyout target. And compared to the rest of this bloated fat peg of a market, the valuation is actually pretty decent. Actually, Disca's might be a bottoming tail here on Disca. I'd like to see a little bit more volume, but that's actually not a bearish candle right there on Disca. And it's into support. But I like this because it's undervalued, just like Viacom. The forward PE of this is like 10 or 11, and the forward PE of the S&P is over 20. I mean, it's absurd. And it's not like this is some small cap crap company. It's like CBS. They pay a 2.3% dividend. It's a blue chip company. So, and there already is buyout rumors between them, Roku, and Comcast. So who knows? Discovery could get picked up by any one of them, or Netflix. I talked about Netflix possibly picking up some of these companies. They can afford to do it. Yeah, Netflix, yeah, nice little Netflix holding this area here. Netflix holding up pretty well. So Spider's continuing to squeeze. We've got about 3 minutes to go. Let's see what they do in the last minute or two, though. So they might save that 50 moving average. I think it was 423.06 we were talking about. So they might save it for today. Let's take a look at the actual VIX. Did he really? He bought in? Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, so the actual VIX, it's only up 26% now, but yeah, Dow getting a nice little rally into the close. Let's take a look at the daily Spiders candle. It's hard to say. There's so many games that go on, but it's almost like a squeeze into the close is kind of trappy feeling because it's like you're getting the bulls like, oh yeah, this is getting them back on board. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be higher tomorrow. We got to squeeze in the close. But I think if this market really was bullish, if they wanted it higher, they would have done it a long time ago. They would have done it at 10:30, 11 o'clock. But, who's to say I'm wrong? Now watch the semis. The semis are flat here. If the semis close positive, that would be interesting, to say the least. There's so much volume in the market right now. Holy crap. All right, there's a market sell just happened. About 1 million shares just sold on market. Wow. See what the chat does, people. Yeah, yeah, I've seen that game before. Again, it looks like the character of this market is, like I said, the character of the market has changed. Normally, we would have seen normally this would have just ripped right higher, and then by Wednesday or Thursday, we would have been back to all-time highs and business as usual. But the fact that they faded this, now again, shorts did cover into the close, but Again, a lot of the time this is day traders covering. So like this isn't necessarily, I mean, yeah, obviously there's institutions, but a lot of it's day traders who are, all right, let's short, let's see if we can get the market lower. And then they're selling, they're not, these guys aren't long-term or swing traders. Semis just closed negative by barely. Man, but so that's the only, everything else to me says this is a real sell, except this. This is the only indicator. And it's a big one. But it was into support. It was right, you know, I mean, you sold off right into the 100 moving average. And he did have this little pivot here. So not surprising that it was defended, but that's the only thing that says to me that they could be, you know, trapping bears. But again, the VIX still having a nice day. VXX closing near the highs. I mean, yeah, I did have a little bit of sell-off towards the end. But interesting move here on GLD towards the close. Look at that little pop. Everything else, the financials being lower, Apple reversing, all these, you know, Amazon failing inside bar, Facebook failing inside bar. Look at gold. Gold holding up really nicely. Yeah, and the Fed too. I mean, there's been chatter about. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if you want to get into like the conspiracy side of it, it's like, okay, are they going to let the market have a correction and the economy stall out, so that gives them an excuse to run forever stimulus? Because they can't run stimulus if CPI is at 5%. But if the market's throwing a tantrum and the economy is slowing down and bond yields are plummeting, that gives them all excuse in the world to run stimulus. But if yields are ripping higher, they can't run stimulus. You know, it would just exacerbate that problem. Look at that. See, I wish they didn't have that fake print on the spider, because now it's hard to see where it really, the high of the day was really right here. But they bidded off the 50 moving average, so it backed off in the close. But we'll see. Tomorrow's going to be really interesting. Really interesting. Let's see what the Qs did. Yeah, Q's having a nice little rally. Apple coming off the lows. Wow, that's crazy. See, this is why I wanted to wait. This is why I wanted to watch to the close. Look what they did with Amazon. That's crazy. Did I just say like a half an hour ago, barring a really historic rally? Because Amazon was all the way down here. So they closed it above this inside bar. That's nuts. NVIDIA having a nice day, but it was oversold going into that. Microsoft, again, holding trend. Yep. Google. Yeah, so I think Tesla is actually having a nice day as well. But yeah, so really the only thing that signals that this could be some sort of a fake out or rotation, whatever. You have, look, Tesla green. You have SMH basically flat, and a lot of these FANG names coming off the lows. Yeah, it's one or the other, right? I don't know. They never make it easy. They never make it easy. I'll be very interested to see where we open tomorrow. Not only where we close, but where we open. Like if we open up here, they could, you know, it could be a gap and crap where they just get all the longs in and then just smash them, or it could just be a short squeeze. But look at the volume here. So, with the exception of the last 10 minutes, which granted we had 10 million shares there, but you basically have 138 million sell shares, or at least shares that were under selling pressure. Then you got 10 million buy at the last minute. But there was a lot of shares liquidated today. So that's telling. It's definitely telling. There's no way around that. You, you made money on those calls? You sold them today, Econ? And what was your upside target, Gun? I think you said 432 was your max upside. I mean, big deal. You know, it pierced it by a little bit, but that was a good target, man. It's a good target. You know, you can't expect a level to work out perfectly. Sometimes you're always going to pierce, but that was a good call. You sold half. Good job. And then, yeah, just move your stop to somewhere in the money. So if they doubled, move it to like a 50% stop. You're gonna, yeah, you're gonna kill it, dude. You're gonna kill it with that. And that's the rinse and repeat. You know, that's how you win as a swing trader. You got to rinse and repeat. You know, the whole like idea of, oh, we're gonna have these calls, they're gonna go up 500%, and or I'm gonna make 40% on VXX. No, that doesn't happen. That just doesn't. You know, that's like the pipe dream type stuff, like the GME, the Roy Kitty and stuff. That's like once in a generation shit. That doesn't happen very often. The way you build wealth long term is by rinse and repeat. Just keep making 10%, 20%. You know, exactly. No one ever went broke selling at a profit. Absolutely, 100%. You know, Alan, what's even more shocking is that Jerome Powell owns stocks. He literally owns index funds. Like, how is that even legal? I mean, I'm of the opinion that if you work for, yeah, Pelosi, I'm of the opinion that if you work for the government, like at that level, the only thing you should be allowed to own is a 401k. I mean, it's like common sense. I mean, it's absurd, especially when you're the Speaker of the House or the Fed chairman. All right. Yeah, so we'll take one more look here. Yeah, so spiders, we did so we did close above the 50 MA. We did breach this trend line again. We've now confirmed below this trend line. Remember, I said last week that if we don't break this trend line very soon, then this trend line becomes irrelevant. And we broke it and we confirmed below it. But again, holding the 50 moving average for now. But again, for now, we'll see what happens tomorrow. If we get any sort of a dead cat bounce, meaning if we bounce and we can't hold this 20 moving average and it gets rejected, then it's probably going to want to go lower. At this rate, though, with the short squeeze into the close, we probably don't limit down tomorrow unless there's major news. So that's that's kind of where I'm sticking on that. But again, we'll have to look and see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, the thing with the VIX though, and like some people were trying to say, like, oh, the VIX is up all, you know, it's up so much, which means that there's hedging in the market, which means that there's no real downside. And it's like that's not true because leverage short volatility is the reason why the VIX is up so much. If we have another flush tomorrow, the VIX is going to be up another 25% because the trade's so overcrowded. Yeah, I don't use the 5 minute, I use the 10 minute, but you can look at it. Yeah, it's just short covering. And gold actually kind of told you what was about to happen, interestingly enough. See the GLD getting that 30-minute pop into the close. Just short covering. Again, a lot of it's probably day trading. So, yeah, we're down 3% from all-time highs, and we still have the VIX up that much. That tells you that leverage short vol is ridiculously overcrowded. So, all right, guys, we've been going almost an hour. I'm gonna get going. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and yeah, I'll be updating you on Twitter. I'll be posting my charts, and if anything changes, you guys know I'll let you know via Twitter and so on. All right, guys, take care and have a great rest of your day.